There's a level of consistency that makes people uncomfortable, not impressed, uncomfortable. They look at you differently. They ask if you're okay. They tell you it's not healthy. They suggest you take a break, not because you're failing, because you never stop. This is not advice about building habits. This is about something deeper, something most people never touch. A state where the voice that says, quit, doesn't disappear, it becomes irrelevant. The ancient samurai had a word for this. They called it Shugyo, austere training, the practice that continues without negotiation, without gaps, without end, the practice that transforms you into something else entirely. Most people will never reach this, not because they can't, because something inside them refuses what it requires, a kind of death, the death of negotiation itself. This isn't for everyone. It won't work if you're looking for balance. It won't work if you need variety to stay engaged. It won't work if you want to be normal. But if you've been fighting that voice your entire life, the voice that always finds a reason to stop, then keep watching. Because what I'm about to show you is the only thing that actually makes it silent. But before I explain how it works, you need to understand why most people never make it past the beginning, the negotiation that never ends. David was 27 when he realized he'd been lying to himself for years. He'd started running, again, for the 4th time in 3 years. This time would be different, he told himself. This time he actually meant it. Day 1, 6 a.m. alarm. He got up, he ran, he felt good, felt motivated. This was it. Day 2, same thing. Still good, still committed. Day 3, alarm went off. His mind said something it hadn't said before. You've already proven you can do it. Missing one day won't hurt. Has snoozed. Day 4, didn't even set the alarm. Week 2, he was back to not running. Month 2, he'd forgotten he'd even started. This wasn't the first time. It was the pattern. The same pattern. Start strong. Feel momentum. Hit a day where motivation dips. Negotiate. Lose. Stop. He tried everything. Different times. Different routines. Accountability partners. Fitness apps. Rewards. Punishments. Nothing worked. Because he was treating it like a motivation problem. It wasn't. Motivation wasn't the issue. The issue was that every single morning, he gave himself the option to negotiate. Should I run today? That question was the disease. As long as that question existed, the answer would eventually be no. Not because he was weak, because negotiation is a game where quit always wins eventually. He'd wake up feeling good, he'd run. He'd wake up feeling tired, he'd skip. His running depended entirely on how he felt. And feelings change. Every day, sometimes every hour. So his consistency changed with them. What he was fighting wasn't laziness. It was something much deeper. The ancient protocol. In feudal Japan, samurai trainees faced a problem David would recognize. They'd commit to training, show up for weeks. Then one morning, the commitment would waver. The body would resist. The mind would offer a reason to rest. And if they listened once, the practice would begin to collapse. The masters knew this. They'd seen it hundreds of times. So they built something to prevent it. It wasn't motivation. It wasn't discipline. It was structural. A system that removed the possibility of negotiation entirely. They called it keppaku, the irreversible vow. Here's how it worked. A trainee would make a public declaration in front of the dojo, in front of other warriors, in front of his master. He would state his practice and his schedule. Not, I will try to train. Not, I plan to practice. A specific commitment. I will train every morning at dawn, without exception. Once spoken, it couldn't be taken back. Not because of honor, because of psychology. The declaration wasn't for the master, it was for the trainee's own mind. Every samurai in that room became a witness. The commitment was now public. Backing out wasn't just breaking a promise to yourself, it was social death. In a society where reputation determined survival, this was everything. You could be talented, skilled, intelligent, but if you were known as someone whose word meant nothing, you were finished. So the negotiation ended, not because the trainee suddenly had more willpower, because the question no longer existed. It wasn't, should I train today? It was, I train at dawn. That's what happens. The practice stopped being a choice. It became identity. David didn't know about Kippaku, but when he found a forum about consistency and posted publicly, I'm running every morning at 6 a.m. No exceptions. Starting tomorrow, you can hold me accountable. Something shifted. The next morning, alarm went off. His mind tried the usual negotiation. You're tired. Skip today. But something new appeared. The awareness that 147 people had read his post. They knew what he'd committed to. If he skipped, he wasn't just disappointing himself. He was becoming the person who makes declarations and breaks them. That distinction mattered more than he'd expected. He ran. The negotiation didn't stop because of discipline. It stopped because the question no longer existed. The time lock. 3 weeks in, David hit a new problem. He was running consistently now, every morning at 6 a.m. But on week 4, something changed. He woke up at 5:30 a.m. Fully awake, his mind said, "You're already up. Just run now. Get it done early." He almost did, then stopped because he realized what was happening. His mind was trying to create flexibility, trying to prove that the schedule was arbitrary, that he could run whenever he felt like it as long as he ran, that 6 a.m. wasn't actually necessary. That flexibility was the crack. The same crack that would eventually let him skip entirely. The samurai understood this too. They used what they called jikansei, time lock. The practice happened at a fixed time, not sometime in the morning, not when you feel ready, a specific time, same time, always. Why? Because fixed time eliminates decision fatigue. When the practice can happen anytime, your mind has to decide when, every day. That decision drains willpower, and worse, it keeps the negotiation alive. Should I do it now, or maybe later? Later might be better. Fixed time kills that. 6 a.m. means 6 a.m. Not 5:30, not 6:15, not 7. At 6 a.m., you do the thing. The time decides. You don't. David made the rule. 6 a.m. Not a minute before, not a minute after. Even if he was awake at 5 a.m., he waited. Even if he was tired at 6 a.m., he moved. 3 months in, something remarkable happened. At 5:58 a.m., his body would start preparing, without thought, without decision. His nervous system knew, at 6 a.m., we run. That's what happens at 6 a.m. The practice became automatic, but then his mind found another escape route. He had eliminated the when, but the mind found another place to escape. The one path. Month 4. David was running every day at 6 a.m., but he started varying the runs. Monday, long, slow run. Tuesday, interval training. Wednesday, tempo run. Thursday, easy recovery. Different routes, different intensities, different everything. He thought he was optimizing. He wasn't. He was creating decision points. Every night, he'd have to decide, what kind of run tomorrow? And every morning, his mind would negotiate, maybe I should do an easy run instead. That interval workout sounds too hard. The negotiation was back, just wearing different clothes. The samurai had a term for this too. Ichiro, the one way. The practice wasn't varied. It was identical. Same action, same order, same duration. Every single time. Not because variation is bad, because variation requires decisions, and decisions require willpower, and willpower depletes. The masters knew, the mind is lazy. It will always try to conserve energy. If you give it variables to manipulate, it will manipulate them until the practice collapses. So they removed the variables. One way, one path, walk it every day. Same steps, same stones. Eventually, the path becomes so worn that walking it requires no thought. Your feet know where to go. David implemented this. Same run, same route, same pace. Every morning, no variation. His friends said he was being obsessive. His girlfriend said it wasn't healthy. A coworker joked that he was becoming a robot. He didn't care, because something was happening that none of them understood. The negotiation was dying. Every morning, there was nothing to decide. 6 a.m. happens. You put on the same shoes. You run the same route. You come back. That's what 6 a.m. means. Like how brushing your teeth doesn't require a decision. You just do it. Neuroscience backs this. Research from University College London shows habits become automatic through repetition of the same behavior in the same context. Not similar behaviors, not varied routines, identical repetition. For approximately 66 days, David hit day 66, and something clicked. He woke up at 5:58 a.m. At 6 a.m., his body stood up without him deciding to stand up. His hands put on his shoes without him thinking about shoes. He was out the door before his conscious mind had fully engaged. The practice was running itself. But there was one final test. The test most people fail. This is the moment most people never reach because something inside them refuses to die. The practice without gaps. Day 74. David woke up sick. Fever. Body aching. The kind of sick where standing up feels difficult. 6 a.m. arrived. His body tried to stand. His conscious mind intervened. You're sick. Rest is smart. This is the exception. That exception was the final negotiation. The samurai had a phrase, Mu Kyuke, practice without gaps. The practice continues, not when convenient, not when optimal, always. This sounds extreme. It is extreme, but there's a reason. The mind is looking for patterns. It's learning, under what conditions do we stop? If the answer is ever anything other than we don't stop, the pattern emerges. Sick, we stop. Tired, we stop. Traveling, we stop. Each exception teaches the mind. The practice is conditional, and once it's conditional, the mind will create conditions that justify stopping. This isn't about ignoring injury. Injury is different. Injury requires cessation, but discomfort, inconvenience, suboptimal conditions, these are tests. Tests the mind uses to find out if the practice is truly non-negotiable. David stood up. He didn't run his normal route. He walked one loop around his block. Took 8 minutes instead of 30, then came back. He'd maintained the practice, not the intensity, the continuity. Day 75, still sick. Walked again. Day 76, feeling better. Ran half his normal route. Day 77, back to normal. The practice never stopped. It adapted, but it didn't stop. 2 months later, David traveled for work. Different city, different time zone, different everything. 6 a.m. in the new time zone, he ran through unfamiliar streets. His coworker who traveled with him said, "Dude, you don't have to run here. You're on a work trip." David didn't explain, because the coworker wouldn't understand. The practice doesn't stop for location. It doesn't stop for circumstances. It doesn't stop. Because if it stops, it teaches the mind that stopping is possible. And once stopping is possible, it becomes probable, then inevitable. The practice must continue, without gaps, like a river. Rivers don't decide whether to flow today based on how they feel. They flow, always. That's what rivers do. 6 months in, something happened that David didn't expect. He got injured. Actual injury. Stress fracture. Doctor said, no running for 8 weeks. Old David would have seen this as the end. The streak is broken. Might as well quit. New David didn't see it that way. The practice wasn't running. The practice was 6 a.m. movement. Running was just the form it usually took. For 8 weeks, at 6 a.m., he did mobility work, stretching, core exercises, not running, but still practicing. The continuity remained unbroken, not because he was obsessive, because he understood the gap is where death lives. The practice survives by never allowing the gap. At that point, the practice no longer depended on him. The transformation. Month 9. David's girlfriend noticed something. You're different. I don't know how to describe it. You're just different. His coworkers noticed too. One said, you're the most consistent person I've ever met. It's kind of unsettling. His mother said, I worry about you. This routine you have, it's not normal. People need flexibility. They were right. It wasn't normal. Normal people negotiate. Normal people skip when they don't feel like it. Normal people stop when circumstances aren't perfect. David didn't do those things anymore. Not because he was disciplined, because those options no longer existed in his mind. The pathway for quitting had atrophied, like a muscle you never use. 1 year in, someone asked him, "Do you ever want to skip?" He thought about it, honestly thought about it, and realized, no, not because he loved running every single day, but because skip wasn't a category his mind produced anymore. It would be like asking, "Do you ever want to skip breathing?" The question doesn't make sense. You breathe. That's what you do. Running at 6 a.m. was the same. It's what happens at 6 a.m. He'd crossed a threshold. The practice was no longer something he did. It was something he was. Identity shift. Complete. His friends who'd started running when he started had all stopped. Different reasons, different timelines, but all stopped. They'd laugh, "I don't know how you do it. I just can't stay consistent." David never explained, because the explanation would make them uncomfortable. He didn't stay consistent through willpower or discipline. He'd killed the part of his mind that produced the option to quit. That part was dead, and its death made the practice immortal. And that's when you realize this was never about running. The challenge, running was just the vehicle. The real transformation was this. David had learned to eliminate negotiation, not just for running, for anything. The voice that says, "Quit," it's not one voice. It's a pattern, a mechanism, and that mechanism operates the same way regardless of what you're trying to do. It negotiates. It creates flexibility. It finds exceptions. It waits for your willpower to deplete. Then it wins. The only way to beat it isn't to fight it every day. That's exhausting. That's unsustainable. That's why you always lose eventually. The way to beat it is to build a structure where negotiation can't happen, where the question itself doesn't exist. Public declaration. Fixed time. One way. No gaps. These aren't tips. They're a protocol, an ancient protocol that works because it targets the mechanism itself, not the symptoms, the source. But implementing this requires something most people refuse to give. It requires killing the part of you that wants flexibility, the part that wants to listen to your body, the part that wants balance and variety and spontaneity. That part has to die. And most people won't let it die. They'll protect it. They'll call it self-care. They'll call it balance. They'll call it listening to intuition. But that part is the part that quits. That's its function. And as long as it's alive, you will always quit eventually. So here's the challenge. Pick one thing, one practice, not 10 things. One, declare it publicly. Comment below. Tell us what it is, when you're doing it, and for how long. Make the declaration specific. Make it witnessed. If you can't do that, if that feels too extreme, too rigid, too uncomfortable, then you're not ready. And that's fine. Most people aren't. But if you do it, understand what you're actually committing to. You're not committing to the practice. You're committing to death. The death of the voice that says, "Quit." The death of negotiation. The death of the person who stops. And on the other side of that death is someone else. Someone unrecognizable. Someone who doesn't need discipline. Because discipline is irrelevant when the question doesn't exist. That person makes others uncomfortable. That person isn't normal. That person has eliminated something that everyone else still carries. The voice that says, "Quit," doesn't disappear. It just becomes irrelevant. It can scream as loud as it wants. It doesn't matter, because you're not listening. Because the practice continues, without negotiation, without gaps, without end. The consistency that scares people is the only kind that works.